Hi there, I'm Kate Bowski and welcome to my blog, Educate with Whole Brain. And today we're going to talk about what I think is one of the most important pieces of the core four of whole brain teaching, and that is the Teach OK piece. We know that for many years now there has been all sorts of research about children talking to each other about the content that they are learning and how it helps them retain it. And whether you call it peer teaching or think, pair, share or collaborative pairs, it's all the same concept. I think what makes Teach OK unique is that it happens more frequently and more fluidly than in a typical traditional classroom where students are only asked every now and then to talk to each other about the content. So we're going to break this kind of into two pieces today. The first part is going to be how to teach this to your children and get them where you want with it. And then the second piece is going to be how to spice it up a little bit and how to add some variety. So let's start with how do I teach this to my kids? Well, the first thing you have to realize is that you want to start slow because you want it to be slow and smooth in the beginning, and you can work towards making it a little bit more snappy and speeding it up and getting the kids to where you want. So in the beginning, you want to just explain to your children that when you clap twice and say teach, they're going to respond with clapping twice and saying okay. So you will tell them, when I clap twice and say teach, teach, they will respond with two claps and an okay. Okay. So you're going to practice that with your children and take it slow with them because you're going to find that they're going to want to say the okay first or they're going to be out of sync with their clapping. The idea here at the beginning is to get them all in unison and immediately right after you do your teach. So you want it to sound something like this. Teach, and then the children will go, okay. Whatever you do, they do. Whatever tone of voice you use, that's the tone of voice they use. And my suggestion is, while you're working in this kind of slow mode, kind of change up your patterns a little bit. Maybe just clap once and hold your hands up, teach. And then they would do the same thing. Clap once, hold their hands up, okay. Or you might clap 3 times really fast and flatten out your hands, teach. And then they would respond with, okay. So whatever you do, they're going to do. Practice that with them. Use your scoreboard to reward with smiles or frownies based on whether they do it all in unison or if they're doing it too fast or too slow or right on. And once you feel like you have this very smooth flowing pattern of clapping or whatever you're doing with your teach piece, then you're ready to move to your next step. And that's the full body turn. So first step is get it smooth and get them all in unison, responding correctly. Second step is to get that full body turn in, and you have to explain to them about how you want that full body turn to be. It's not just to turn your head to your neighbor and talk to them. You want the kids to actually swivel in their seats so they are side to side facing each other so that they can talk to each other. That way you know that you've got the engagement. When kids just kind of do the head turn without moving their body, you tend to lose some of your energy with your teaching. Plus, the swiveling in the chair adds to the movement, gets that blood pumping and flowing, and that's what we want to get that oxygen to the brain so that they continue to learn really well. So the next step, after you get your teach okay done in unison, now you're ready to do your full body turn. And you want to practice this with the kids. They don't have to talk about content at this point. They're just practicing the turn. You're practicing how it should look right now. So you're going to tell them, teach, and they will say, okay, and then they're going to do the swivel. And maybe that's all they do. Or they might tell each other, what's your favorite color? Or tell each other some interesting fact about yourself if you want them to actually do the conversation. Make it something very simple that the kids aren't going to be threatened by. And then they come back to you when you call them back with the class, and that's something else that you have to explain to them. You want them to keep teaching until you call them back with your class yes. So it would look something like this. Teach, the children would say, okay. They do the full body turn, and you want that to be really immediate eventually. It might not be in the beginning, but eventually it will get there. They do their little talk piece. You'll say class, they'll say yes, and they'll turn back with their hands folded on their desk. So step 1, get it smooth and in unison. Step 2 is get that full body turn. Now, once you've practiced that for a little bit and you feel like, okay, they're getting it, they're where I want them to be, now you're ready to go to step 3 and use big gestures. So now maybe you want them to say, what's my favorite meal, or what's my favorite sport, and use a great big gesture with it. My favorite sport is football, or my favorite food is spaghetti, and get some really big gestures in there when they do that full body turn. And if you teach that in those 3 simple chunks like that, when it comes to the time where the kids have to teach content to each other, it's going to be very fluid and seamless, and you're not going to have to worry about correcting, oh no, we didn't all say okay in unison, or oh no, you're not using full body turn. Now, that will make when they have to teach the content to each other a little bit easier. As you get into this, you're going to find that you don't always just want to use clapping. It gets old after a while. So we have to kind of think about adding some spice or some variety to what we do with our Teach OK. You can stick with the clapping and just sort of change up the patterns that you use, the rhythms that you use with your claps. That's perfectly okay. Some teachers, especially with older kids, I know use snapping because the kids are able to, younger children have difficulty with snapping. But you might do teach, and the children will have to do okay. Especially if you're in a situation where I've heard some teachers have classrooms where they can't have the noise level of lots of loud Teach OKs, so they have to keep it a little bit lower. These methods are great for the Teach OK, and they still work just as effectively. Now, some of us like to kind of add a little bit more to that. So I'm going to stand up here and show you some of the things that I do in my own classroom. I don't mind a little bit of noise and commotion in my room. My kids love it, but then again, remember I do only teach 3rd grade, so it's very age appropriate for them. And sometimes I use the leg slaps where we might do teach, and the children will have to do okay. Again, the rhythm, the pattern is what changes. Teach, and the children will have to do okay. Or I might incorporate feet stomps. Get your feet involved and get those legs moving. So we might do something like teach, and then the children will have to do okay. Now, when I get the feet involved, I do it one of 2 ways. Sometimes they stay in their chairs. Sometimes I ask them to stand up and do it with me. So it really kind of depends on the activity that you're doing or the environment that you're in as to how you want to handle that. Now, those are a little bit more traditional type Teach OKs. Some teachers have the personality where they don't mind being silly in the classroom. Maybe they like to be a little bit more dramatic. If your children can handle it, you can get into some really silly Teach OKs. And I say silly very loosely. It's not like we're going to get up and be a clown in front of our class, but we're just going to bring something really different to them. So we might do something like what I call the Travolta, where we would do teach, and the children would have to do okay, for those of you that are old enough to remember the Travolta Saturday Night Fever movie and his dance moves. We might do the swimming. Teach, and the children will have to do okay. So whatever you're doing, they're repeating. And when you do these types of things, it makes them giggle and laugh, and that's what adds to that emotional part of the whole brain techniques that are so important. We keep that emotion going up and down and up and down, and that kind of stimulates the limbic system and hooks your kids into what they're ready to learn. Some other things that we might do: shoulder brush, teach. Okay. Let me think, what are some other ones that we do? We could do whoop, whoop, teach. And then the children will do whoop, whoop, teach. Okay. So it's all in good fun. And the idea is to get them hooked into, hey, I'm getting ready to turn to my shoulder partner or my neighbor with a full body turn and teach them what we just talked about. So let's kind of go back and review. Remember, you've got 3 steps to teaching the Teach OK. The first step is to get it smooth and in unison, with the eventual goal of having it be quick and snappy. The second thing is to get that full body turn. And please remember that this is not something you're going to teach in the first week and then abandon. You're going to have to come back and remind the kids to do that full body turn. It's just human nature that as we keep doing things, we tend to slack off a little bit, and we have to be reminded, oh yeah, this is how it's going to look. So don't forget to go back, and if you see that happening in your class, teach your kids, or reteach them actually, how to do that full body turn. And then step 3 is get those big gestures. The more kids are moving, the more their blood's flowing, getting oxygen to the brain, the better retention you're going to have. And then finally, the variety piece of it. Gauge your kids, kind of figure out what can they handle. Don't be afraid to try things. It's okay if it doesn't work. You can always go back and say, now how can I change it to make it fit with my kids? So think about those things as you do your Teach OK. If you want to see some more examples of teachers actually using this, go on to the wholebrainteaching.com website. There are a wealth of videos on the site that you can watch. There's also the forum where you can post questions, or you can search for the ways other teachers do Teach OK. Get lots of ideas there. You are certainly welcome to email me. You can do it through my blog, or you can just go to katebowski@wholebrainteaching.com. I will be glad to answer your questions. And remember, as you're doing your Teach OK, have fun. Think about your content with your kids. You've got that big back pocket, lots of ideas to draw from. Pump up other teachers in your building and ask them to collaborate with you on ideas for your Teach OK, and then share them with us. We would love to hear new, fresh ideas. We're always looking for new ways to do things. So good luck with this, and power to the teachers.